Welcome back to Numearcy Module 2. Today we're going to be looking at how we deal with shapes and motions for 2 and 3D dimensional shapes. Let's have a look at the module outcomes. Firstly, we're going to be looking at how to estimate, measure and calculate physical quantities to solve problems in practical situations, explore transformations of two-dimensional and geometric figures. Estimating, measure and calculate physical quantities to solve problems in practical situations. The measure of a physical quantity is a number equal to the physical quantity divided by the unit. For example, if you pay 120 Rand for a book, the amount paid by the physical quantity that with the unit of currency is the rand 1 Rand, and the measure is 120. Choosing the appropriate instrument to measure a particular quantity. Rulers. A ruler or a rule is a tool used, for example, geometry, technical drawing, engineering and carpentry, and that is used to measure distances or to draw straight lines. A meter stick. This long ruler is exactly 1 meter long and is made of wood or steel. Tape measures. A tape measure is used to measure the length of objects that are too long for a ruler to be used. Tape measures are used rather than rulers or meter sticks when measuring the length of a room or height of a door or size of a window. Vernier calipers. This instrument is used when very accurate measurements are required. You would measure the thickness of a piece of paper or wood with your calipers. Measuring wheels. That is normally used for measuring factory layouts, flooring quotes, and construction or road markings. Odometer. This is a measuring instrument used for measuring distance traveled by a vehicle. Instruments for measuring the mass of objects. Scales. The scale would be used to find the mass of substances such as flour or sugar at home or in bakeries. Pan scales or balances. A variety of mass pieces, usually weights of brasses, is placed on one side of and the vegetables are placed on the other side until the pans or dishes on each side are balanced. The mass pieces are then added up and that the mass is then determined. Triple beam balance. The triple beam balance is a modern pan balance. It is mainly used to find the mass of solids and powders. It consists of 3 arms with different mass pieces for each one. Electronic digital scales. The scale is switched on, the object is placed on top, and the mass is read on the digital scale, mainly used in post offices. Instruments used to measure capacity. We use a measuring jug. Measuring jugs are used for both domestic and industrial kitchens to measure liquids in various formats. The measuring cylinder. The measuring cylinder is used to measure volumes of liquid accurately. Instruments to measure time. One of the first methods used to measure time involved the movement of the sun. Watch. A watch is a timepiece that is often made to be worn on a person. Sundials. The sundial is one of the first scientific instruments made. It was used by the Chinese and the Egyptians around 1500 BC to tell the time. Hourglasses. The closest device to an hourglass would be an egg timer, and that can be found in certain kitchens at home. It consists of 2 glass bulbs similar to a bottle, placed one above the other and are connected by a narrow tube. One of the tubes is then filled with sand, which flows through the tube at a given rate. Instruments to measure temperature. Temperatures may be measured using thermometers. A thermometer consists of a glass tube filled with mercury, a silver liquid that is extremely poisonous, or another liquid, often alcohol. As the temperature increases, the fluid or liquid in the tube would expand or increase. Reading scales on the measuring instruments correctly. Measurement is the process of assigning a number to an attribute or phenomenon according to a rule or set of rules. The term can be used to refer to the result obtained after performing the process of measuring. Measurement is therefore also the act of measuring detailed dimensions. Measuring the length, width, and height of everyday items. Measures using meters, centimeters, or millimeters. But length is often the longer distance across, whereas length would be longer distance across, whereas width is smaller distance across, and height is the vertical distance, as you can see in that diagram there. Mass. Mass is how much matter is in something. We can measure this by weighing. You can measure using grams or by kilograms. An example you can see there is the weighing of this dog on a scale. Volume. Volume is how much an object can actually hold, for example, water. Using a measuring cup to measure how many millimeters or milliliters fit into each of your cups or for glasses. Temperature. Temperature is how hot or cold a thing is, and temperature is measured using a thermometer, usually in the Celsius or Fahrenheit scale. In South Africa, we tend to use Celsius more. Time. Time is how long a period is between two time points. Digital clocks show us the time using numbers. The number on the left is the hours, and the number on the right is the minutes. Using appropriate units in measurement and calculation. In this table, you can see what is used from the System International base units. For length, we use meters, mass, kilograms, time, seconds, electronic currents, amperes, and then thermodynamic temperatures, we use Kelvin. For frequency, we use hertz. For force, Newton. Pressure, Pascal. And for power, watts. Carrying out calculations correctly. There are specific situations at home or at work where one has to be absolutely accurate or correct in measurement, otherwise it could end up being costly. By familiarizing ourselves with different types of measuring units, we will become better equipped at home but also in the workplace. Estimate quantities. Estimation allows us to arrive at a nearly correct answer that is close enough for all practical purposes. For example, when we want to estimate the size of a room, we would not necessarily measure it with a measuring tape, but give large steps that are roughly equal to a meter. If you measure a space such as a room, then you will estimate the length and breadth by using a stride. A stride is a very large step and is the distance between the heel of the back foot and the toe of the front foot. In this case, we are estimating the size of the room. Rough sketches represent and describe situations. Doing a rough sketch is very useful when you're actually trying to represent or describe a specific situation. Using scale diagrams correctly, a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. We generally separate the two numbers in the ratio with a colon. Suppose we had to write the ratio of 8 and 12. We can write this as 8 with a colon 12, or as a fraction 8 over 12, and we can say the ratio is 8 to 12. Please complete class activity 2 in your workbooks. Exploring transformations of two-dimensional geometric figures. Geometry is a study of measurement and comparison of lines, angles, points, planes, and surfaces, and of plane figures and solids composed of a combination of these. A shape is the outer form of an object or a figure, such as a circle, triangle, a square, rectangle, parallelogram, trapezoid, rhombus, octagram, pentagram, and hexagon. Two-dimensional shapes, you can see here, you've got circles, triangles, squares, rectangle, trapezium, as well as parallelogram. Three-dimensional and two-dimensional shapes. Shapes are named according to the number of sides that they actually have. So 3 sides is a triangle, 4 quadrilateral, 5 pentagram, 6 hexagon, 7 heptagon, 8 octagram, 9 nonagon, and 10 decagon. Properties of symmetrical shapes. Symmetry refers to patterns and ideas that are in a proportion to one another to create a balance that is appealing to the eye because there are specific similarities in the colors and designs. The most familiar type of symmetry is left-right or mirror symmetry or bilateral symmetry. If you were to cut or draw a line through certain objects or shape, the left-hand side would look the same as the right-hand side. The one half is then identical to the other half. Here is symmetric versus asymmetric. Lines of symmetry in two-dimensional figures. A line of symmetry is a line that divides a figure into two congruent parts, each of which is the mirror image of the other. So when the figure having a line of symmetry is folded along that line of symmetry, the two parts should coincide. In other words, the two halves are each other's mirror image. The dotted line through the middle of the letter A is called a mirror line, because if you place a mirror along it, the shape looks exactly the same as the original. Rotational symmetry. A rectangle can be rotated because it's centered by half a turn. The result looks exactly like the original rectangle. We call this rotational symmetry. Shape transformation. If a shape is transformed, its appearance is changed. Transformation can be done in a number of ways, which includes translation, rotation, and reflection. Designs based on transformation and other geometrical properties. Symmetry is an important design element when architects will design buildings. If you have a look at the buildings in your community and decide whether symmetry was considered when buildings were built. Please complete class activity 3 in your workbook. Thank you.